With the power of Tandem HR, you are in the fast lane on Main Street with Get Down to Business with Shalom Klein, the show for business and jobs. Now, the champion of networking, the advocate of jobs, the guru of business, your host, Shalom Klein.
We are all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. In business, we talk a lot about business here. You're on with Get Down to Business, and I'm your host, Shalom Klein. Remember, you could always get on my website, shalomklein.com, to download podcasts from this show and find out who's going to be on next week on the show that's all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. And while you're there, don't forget to follow me on Twitter, @ShalomKlein. We've got a jam-packed lineup of guests, content, information, tips, and advice for you. You won't want to miss a minute of it, so don't touch that dial, Chicago. You're listening to Get Down to Business. I'm your host, Shalom Klein. First up on the program, I've got Mark Denzler of the Illinois Manufacturers Association. Mark, welcome to the program.
Hey, thanks so much for having me today. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So there are a diverse group of business industries across the state that are launching a coalition committed to advocating for modern and permanent extensions of some critical tax incentives that I think will provide some stability and predictability for job creators. Mark, would love to hear a little bit about that coalition and some of the things that you've been advocating for.
Sure, and again, I appreciate you having me on today. So the Illinois Manufacturers Association took it upon itself to create a coalition called the Advanced Illinois Manufacturing Coalition, or AIM. We recruited a number of partners, and they're very diverse stakeholders, such as Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce, Shoes DuPage, Science and Technology Coalition, iBio, a whole host of folks that are all invested in, want to see manufacturing survive and actually grow in the state of Illinois. And so we have put together a tax package down here in Springfield of 4 incentives that are currently or have been on the books, maybe have expired, that we think are meaningful to the manufacturing sector, and everyone is pushing forward together as a coalition to get these things done.
Well, Mark, let's talk about the sector. It's manufacturing is important. Everybody knows that. And I understand that manufacturing employs over 500,000 workers in Illinois. Do you know what the contribution to our economy is in dollars?
I do. We're exactly right. We're about 570,000 workers in the state. That's the single largest share of the gross state product, about 12.5%. And last year, manufacturers contributed $101 billion in total manufacturing output to the state. And of the exports, we exported about $68 billion worth of goods last year from Illinois. 93% of those were manufactured products.
And so, that just emphasized the importance of why we need this important legislation to ensure that there are permanent tax credits. Are there other states that are in a similar position as Illinois that, having not taken up this issue, are we once again behind on the 8 ball?
Unfortunately, we're once again behind on the 8 ball. The research and development tax credit, for example, Shalom, this is the 4th time in 13 years that it's expired, providing no certainty or predictability for manufacturers, whether you're in advanced manufacturing or you're pharmaceutical or you're high tech. We are one of very few states now in the country that don't have a research and development tax credit. And keep in mind, the average manufacturing job pays $70,000 a year, including benefits. The average R&D job is closer to $90,000 a year. So these are good, high-paying jobs that we need to keep in the state of Illinois.
Absolutely. So the Advanced Illinois Manufacturing Coalition, the AIM Coalition, is launching in Illinois. A very impressive lineup of coalition members, partners, including folks from, as you mentioned, the Chamber of Commerce, which includes small businesses, and obviously the Science and Technology folks, and as you said, the Great Lakes Graphics Association. Lots of interesting organizations coming together to support a permanent R&D tax credit, which is important. You just mentioned the contribution to the Illinois economy, but there's some other credits and exemptions that are being advocated for by AIM. If you don't mind, tell us a little bit about the graphic arts piece, because that sounds fascinating.
Yeah, it's an important part. So there's about 2,300 graphic arts firms in the state of Illinois, whether it's Chicago or downstate. These are largely family-owned or small, medium-sized companies. And again, Illinois had a graphic arts exemption that would allow a company to buy, for example, a big printing press and not have to pay the sales tax on it as long as it's placed in Illinois. I can tell you we have a member company in Bloomington that bought the first of its kind printer in the United States, very multi-million-dollar purchase, and they wanted to keep their 50 or 60 jobs in the state. And fortunately, they purchased it right before the incentive went away. But for these other printing companies around the state, right now they don't get any benefit by buying equipment and locating in the state of Illinois. So it's attractive for them to go elsewhere. And so this is an important, a small but important sector of the economy. They employ about 10,000 people in Illinois, and creating a permanent graphic art sales tax exemption is critical for the printing and graphic arts industry.
So the graphic arts sales tax exemption expired in 2014, and it's really interesting. Again, we're talking with Mark Denzler of the Illinois Manufacturers Association. It's really fascinating, Mark, to learn about some of the sectors in the Illinois economy. I think everybody, our listeners, certainly know about the contributions that manufacturing make, but graphic arts, the numbers are staggering in the number of businesses that are here and the numbers of businesses that want to be here, but you sort of have to do a little bit of work to keep them here. You can't just take it for granted, and you've got to make it easy for businesses to do business here, make it easy for them to as you said, make their purchases here in Illinois, really critical. So we talked about the permanent R&D tax credit. We talked about the graphic arts sales tax exemption. What about the manufacturer's purchase credit?
Yeah, so the manufacturer's purchase credit, this is very similar to the last two. They've no stability and predictability, which is what businesses crave. This is an incentive that's come and gone several times. It's currently expired, and this is really helps the small and mid-sized manufacturing companies that have to buy tangible property that's used in the manufacturing process but doesn't become part of the final product. And so maybe oils, rags, lubricants, that kind of thing, that right now they're taxed on, even though they don't become an end part of the product that's sold. And this is a small credit, but it really helps those mom-and-pop type manufacturing shops that right now expired in 2014. And so what we're proposing, the AIM Coalition, is to merge this into a bigger credit called the Manufacturing Machinery Equipment Exemption and make it permanent. And the biggest part of this, when we talk about all these incentives, is we need stability and predictability. As you know, any business that's looking to plan, they don't plan a year in advance or 6 months. They're looking 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road. In the Illinois tax code, with all these things kind of coming and going, just provide absolute no stability or predictability for job creators.
And every politician loves to talk about making Illinois more competitive, more small business opportunities, stopping job losses. That's the classic one. Every governor is coming into the state of Illinois trying to poach businesses. How many times have you and I, Mark, driven down the highway and seen? Are you Illinois'd? That billboard.
Absolutely.
And politicians love talking about it, but this is exactly the type of legislation that they should be supporting. It's so critical. The final piece that I want to talk to you about is the permanent coal aggregate exploration, mining, and off-highway sales tax exemption. Tell us about that exemption, which is important in industry, once again, that many of our listeners might not know much about.
Yeah, and then a lot of this is obviously in central and southern Illinois, but your aggregate, your mining equipment, your coal, and so these are things as your rock quarries or your farm machinery, agriculture, mining. Right now, again, they have an incentive that's getting ready to go away. It's still on the books, but companies looking to invest in Illinois say, well, I've only got this for another year. Is it going to be here? And they look at things like the R&D or MPC, and they've seen those go away. And so what we're saying is, again, as opposed to you got it for a year, let's make it permanent. Let's give some peace of mind to these job creators, because we both know they've got limited capital of where to invest, and they're going to make decisions about whether they go to Illinois or Indiana or Michigan or across the pond somewhere. And let's make Illinois attractive. I think one of our frustrations, talking about the importance of manufacturing, we lost 15,000 manufacturing jobs last year in this state. When you look at Indiana, Wisconsin, some of our neighbors who in the last couple of years have gained 90 and 150,000, when Illinois loses those 15,000 workers that average $70,000 a year, those are families that maybe, obviously they can't afford to go on vacation or eat out at restaurants or buy new furniture. And so it's got that ripple impact across the economy.
Wow. Well, again, Mark Denzler from the Illinois Manufacturers Association, we appreciate you coming on to join us and get down to business. The IMA, your well-established organization, you represent over 4,000 member companies and facilities, and has some staggering numbers, 570,000 workers in manufacturing, huge contribution to the economy. Mark, how can people learn more about the IMA and sign on to support the coalition?
Sure. The AIM Coalition, again, Advanced Illinois Manufacturing, and it's AIM, AIM-IL.org. So again, the Advanced Illinois Manufacturing Coalition, or you can visit the IMA website at ima-net.org. So either one will get you there, but we appreciate your support because manufacturing is a key cog in the
Absolutely. Well, Mark Denzler, we appreciate you coming on the program. Check out their website and support small business in Illinois. After the break, we've got more tips, advice, and information for you. You're listening to Get Down to Business.